And it's time for another spooky story. I don't know, at least it's spooky for me. This is another actual event that actually happened to me of a paranormal nature. Just before I get into it, I would like to say that honestly, all my life, I feel like I've been kind of like a magnet when it comes to these things. Have experienced a lot of them personally myself, so that's what makes me a believer. You have to understand that you can't prove or disprove these things. You can only just listen to what is being said and draw the conclusions for yourself. Make up your own mind. It may be true for some of you, it may not. Of course, I am the only one that actually matters and knows the truth and the real experience that happened. So, with this being said, hello everyone, my name is Cosmin and welcome back to Unscripted. So, I grew up in a small town where the main industry was mining coal. And by the time I was born in 1985, the industry was already declining. So it was a rough childhood. Poor, because it was a poor area. You can imagine what happens in a place where the main industry, the most jobs, 98% of the jobs are in one thing, When that thing starts to slowly collapse, everything starts to collapse. And it was a pretty big area there with a lot of people. Only in my town there were like 25,000, and the next town, which was close, also had something similar like that. There were like 2-3 towns close to each other, and then there was a big one, which that one had like 100,000 something there. So it was a big industry, and most of the buildings and the towns there, they were constructed during communism, almost overnight, like that, for the industry. So when you rush things like this, of course a lot of accidents can happen. And I do have a point with this, because I lived on the 8th floor of a 9th floor building. And during the construction of that building in the 1930s or 1940s, something like this, there was an incident that happened exactly on the floor that I was living. when they were building the building. And in that particular place, the workers, they had with them some kind of a welding equipment for, metal welding equipment and cutting metal and things like this, that required some kind of a pressurized tube that you had to open in order for the flame to... I'm not sure exactly about the process in which that works. You can comment in the comment section below if you know what I'm talking about, and those of you who know will know, of course. What's that, oxygen, or what is it? I don't know exactly what's inside those tubes, pressurized tubes that help with the welding process. Anyway, one of those tubes exploded during work hours one time, and I believe somewhere around between 6 to 8 workers got caught very close to the radius, to the middle of in the radius of the blast, to the center of the blast, So of course they lost their lives. And of course all the construction continued after that, everything was communism. Kala, clean everything up, let's go. And that event kind of, I think, broke a little the fabric of reality and time there in that specific place, flat, where on that floor we were 4 flats. On every floor there were 4 flats, each with 2 of them had 3 rooms and 2 of them had only 2 rooms, the flats, plus kitchens and bathrooms. So when we moved there, it was the 1989, exactly in the year of the revolutions. And I grew up there in that apartment from the moment I was like 4 years old. From that moment on, I grew up there in that town and in that apartment, together of course with the family. And I'm telling you, that place, man, that place, to say it was haunted would kind of like not encompass the whole thing that was going on in that flat, when it's like something is haunted, it's like, okay, it's haunted, it's a thing, it's by a thing, and that thing, I don't know, happens again, a ghost or whatever, but this was like, I've told you, this was like super totally different random things happening in that place. I remember waking up in the night, lights full on in the room. I felt something was trying to make me sleepy, to go back to sleep, not to stay awake. So I opened my eyes and I couldn't hold them, and I would just fall back to sleep, because I couldn't hold them. Or waking up in the night and having a figure of a man sitting on the bed next to my legs, but it was a black figure with just a thin aura of light around it, so you could distinguish it. It was also transparent, a little translucent. You could see through it, but you could understand also that it's a dark figure thing of a humanoid. Not to mention waking up in the night and hearing like songs being sang from the terraces and light emanating from there, stories of my sister seeing little green men that were coming from under the doors, reoccurring nightmares that you are being chased and running from something inside the flat and you can't escape. You're just running on the spot. Those kind of nightmares are freaky. They are terrifying. They scare you a lot. Anyway, I won't go into all of the crazy details. And this is like a whole other episode. And if you would like, of course, I will go into details. I don't think I have anything to hide. As long as I'm not hurting myself or anyone else with the experiences that I'm sharing, everything will be fine. But if that's the case, then that's where I draw the line. Anyway, so I was around 16 years old. Maybe even less, I think. Somewhere around 15. Between 14 and 16 years old I was. And I remember already for a couple of nights in the house, in the room where I was sleeping, a new kind of paranormal phenomenon was developing. I could feel it every time. Okay, this is something new. Okay, we're about to experience something new again, And in the night, I remember I would be sleeping and I could hear something walking around in the room, around the wardrobes, around the shelves, between the books and the things that were put on display. It was something small, like the size of a cat, something like this. But whenever I turned around to see it, it was not there, or it was not moving. So I would just sit and then fall back asleep again, And you could feel the energy of this thing. It was like when you hold two magnets that are the same poles and you try to put them together, You feel this cushy feeling between them, It was something like this, that you could feel this cushy feeling between you and that thing. If you get too close, it's like it's repelling a lot the closer you get to it. Nothing bad. Nothing, strange. Let me just take a break here and I'll be right back. So, I'm back. Where was I? Right. So, you would get this kind of a feeling whenever this thing was close. And I started to feel its presence almost every night. It started to be something very frequent. And it became more bold, the moves. In the beginning was something in the other side of the room. Then it slowly started to get closer. It started to push things around, to fall things from the shelves, books. I remember letting things during the day intentionally in a certain position that if they would be moved, I would know, the next day. And I would wake up the next day to check it, only to see that that object, it's not the way that I left it. It had like an intelligence to it. It knew I left that there because he could have done anything to any other object, but he would use that object that I've left there specifically. So one evening, I guess that was like the apogee, the peak of this event. I came back from school, whatever, went back, eat all the things, and to go back to sleep. So everybody was sleeping, I went to sleep. I woke up in the night. I don't know what time it was. I didn't have a watch in the room, and then it was the time before cell phones. Technology was well, it was the 2000s, you know. I didn't have a cell phone. Not everybody would have a cell phone, and we were poor. Anyway. So I went to the bathroom, and then came back from the bathroom, sat down on the bed, laid my head on the pillow, hand under the head, stretched the hand like that, sleep classic. When the moment I closed my eyes, I've started to hear again the movements in the back of the room. They always emanated from the back and got closer and closer. It was in the back on top of a big wardrobe. It started to move. I could hear the wood. It was only wooden furnitures, all wooden furnitures, most of them made by my father, which was a woodworker. So the joints on it and everything would squeak, you know, every time you would touch it, everything you would just a little to push the hands and they would squeak, the wood. If you have massive wood furniture around the house, you know that's the case, you know, especially if it has a lot of small parts which are put together. Anyway, I could hear it. It was on the big wardrobe. It came down on the bookshelf, which was more on the side, and this bookshelf, it was designed so that it has on the shelves, like it would be this shelf. It was not a big wooden piece. It was made out of more pieces like this, parallel to each other, together. It was very nice, but that means that they would move, and they would hear every time you would move something from one side to another. So you could clearly hear when it jumped on it that it was on one side, and then tuck, 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 it started to move on the other side, closer towards the bed where I was sleeping. I was absolutely, I don't know how to say, I was terrified. I was a kid, you know. I was a kid in the bed hearing something in the room. We didn't have a pet in the house. I was scared, you know. I was scared. I was afraid to open my eyes or even to move to see what the heck is going on over there, you know. It was the strongest so far manifestation that had happened. So I was afraid. Then I hear it, like at one time from the shelf. He starts to run, pick up speed, and jump from the shelf on top of the table, which there was a small table exactly above my head before the bed, and it jumped on that one, landing on it like with two legs. It was some kind of a quadruple, how you say this, a creature that has 4 limbs that uses it for walking. But this can be also like a monkey or a chimpanzee. They also run and with all their force, even though they have hands and legs, you know. I didn't know because I was too afraid to open my eyes and to actually check out what creature is this. I was afraid. So at the table it jumped, and then it jumped on the table. It didn't stop, and it continued to run towards the edge of the table and jumped exactly on the bed where I was sitting. I had the hand like this on the head. It jumped like over my hand and landed on the bed. I think in that moment my heart it stopped. It stopped for a few seconds. That's how much it scared me the moment that it landed on the bed. It was like in slow-mo. this thing, it was so close to me. I could feel this field, this energy that was between me and it, like it was a light, you know, like you would hold your eyes closed and you would have a light just going around your face like this with a flash. You know where it is and how, you know. It was very strong, and I could feel that in the air and jump in the bed. It spooked me out. It freaked me out so bad. I actually entered in a state of paralysis. It was a fight or flight move, or I don't know. I froze in that moment. The creature stopped, came close to my face. I could feel it. It went like down around my body all the way until my legs, but not touching me. On a distance, I could feel it walking in the bed. I didn't have the courage to open my eyes. I was scared. I was just saying this prayer in my head, Heavenly Father, you know. And it like scanned me, like a full body scan, down and then back again to the face. Then it like turned around, ran again, jumped down from the bed on the hallway. I remember, I don't know if it has any connection, but on the hallway, where you have the hallway and then the rooms, bam, 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 bam. On that hallway we had a big mirror. And that mirror also, always, all the time felt for me a little strange. Something was... It felt like a portal or something, I don't know. And I heard it jump there, and it made even a few steps around in the hallway, and then it just stopped. Everything just stopped. I believe it vanished or something. I don't know. I woke up. I opened my eyes in that moment when I heard there's nothing going on anymore, because I stayed a few seconds, maybe even a minute, to make sure that I don't hear nothing anymore. And then I opened slowly my eyes to look around. There was nothing, of course. Silence already for a minute and something. I remember taking my blanket and my pillow and just I ran into the other room where my siblings was, other of my siblings were sleeping, and I just crawled at the bottom of one of the beds and I slept there with them, because the whole event just spooked me out. Talk about close encounter. Even to this day, sometimes I think that this event never happened again. This specific one, it just left a hole in my. It's nothing. It never happened again. It left a question mark, you know. I've always wondered, and I've even wondered to this day, what this thing was. And what if I would have had the courage to open my eyes and just see it, to see what it is? How would I see the world now? What would I be now? Because if I would have saw something, even just that I felt it and I knew it was there, changed my life completely. Imagine if I would have seen this. Anyway, I'm gonna leave you with this one, with that, and of course, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the story, and if you did so, of course, bam, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next thing I post, because you never know, it's unscripted. I just come up with an idea during the day or something, and I'm like, I think I should talk about that a little. Give you guys something to make you think, or maybe wonder, or things like this. Put intrigue, something, spark interest, and let you make up your mind, of course. But you know, sharing is caring. Take care, guys. All the best. See you next time.